Kate Morrison pressed her hand against the cold window of the transport ship and watched the massive space station grow larger. The Galactic Defense Academy looked like a giant metal flower floating in the darkness, its arms stretching out around a central hub. She had dreamed of this moment for 3 years, ever since Earth joined the Galactic Coalition. Now that she was here, her stomach felt tight with nerves. First time seeing it? A voice asked beside her. Kate turned to see Ben Crawford, another pilot from Earth's military. They had met during the selection process 6 months ago. Ben was tall and lean with an easy smile that made people trust him instantly. "Yeah," Kate said. "It's bigger than I thought." "Everything out here is bigger," Ben replied. He pointed at another ship passing nearby. "See that? That's a Kryn battlecruiser. Their smallest one." Kate looked at the massive vessel. It was 3 times the size of Earth's largest warship. She felt a familiar flutter of doubt in her chest. Earth was so new to all of this, so small compared to the other species in the galaxy. The transport ship docked an hour later. Kate grabbed her bag and followed the other recruits into the station. The corridor was huge, built to accommodate species of all sizes. She saw her first alien up close as they walked. It was tall and thin, with blue skin and forearms. The creature glanced at her and the other humans, then made a clicking sound that might have been laughter. "Ignore them," said Amy Zhang, walking beside Kate. Amy was a communications specialist from Earth's Space Force. "They all think we're weak, are we?" Kate asked quietly. Amy shrugged. "We're about to find out." The human group consisted of 12 people, carefully selected from Earth's best military personnel. They walked together through the massive corridors until they reached a huge assembly hall. Thousands of recruits from dozens of different species filled the space. Kate had never felt so small. A thunderous voice boomed across the hall. "Attention, all recruits." Everyone fell silent. A massive creature walked onto the stage at the front. It stood at least 8 feet tall, covered in dark green scales. Its eyes were yellow and sharp, scanning the crowd with a predator's focus. Kate recognized the species from her training materials. This was a Kryn warrior. "I am Commander Thexlar," the creature announced. Its voice was deep and powerful. "I will be your primary combat instructor. Many of you come from proud warrior species with long military traditions. You will be pushed to your limits here. You will be tested. You will face challenges that break the weak and forge the strong." The commander's eyes swept across the assembly and stopped on the human section. Kate felt his gaze on her group. His mouth curved into something that might have been a smile, but it showed too many teeth. "Some of you," Thexlar continued, "come from species that have only recently discovered space travel, species that evolved on quiet worlds without real challenges. These recruits will struggle. They may not survive the training, but the Coalition believes in giving all members a chance no matter how slim their odds." Kate felt anger rise in her chest. The message was clear. The commander was talking about humans. Ben whispered beside her. "Don't react. That's what he wants." Kate forced herself to stay calm, but her hands formed fists at her sides. The assembly continued for another hour. Various instructors introduced themselves and explained the training program. Kate learned that the academy trained pilots, soldiers, and commanders from 47 different species. The training lasted 1 year. Only about 60% of recruits finished successfully. Those who failed were sent home in shame. After the assembly, the recruits were divided into training groups. Kate found herself in Squad 7 along with Ben, Amy, and 9 alien recruits. Their squad instructor was a creature called Velthos, from a species called the Zanari. Velthos looked like a giant insect with compound eyes and 4 thin arms. The Zanari were known for incredibly fast reflexes. "Follow," Velthos said, its voice buzzing like static. "I show you barracks. I show you equipment. Then we begin assessment." The barracks were simple but functional. Each recruit had a small room with a bed, storage, and a personal computer terminal. Kate dropped her bag and sat on the bed. It was too hard, designed for alien physiology. She lay back anyway and stared at the ceiling. A knock came at her door. Ben stood outside. "Come on," he said. "Time for the first assessment." They gathered in a large training room with the rest of their squad. Velthos stood at the center, holding a small device. "Today we measure baseline capabilities," the instructor explained. "Reaction time, strength, speed, sensory perception. All recruits perform same tests. Results determine your initial ranking." Kate went through the tests one by one. For reaction time, she had to press a button when a light flashed. Her best time was 0.17 seconds. She felt good about it until she saw the alien results. The Zanari recruit completed it in 0.04 seconds. A Kryn warrior managed 0.08. Even the worst alien recruit beat Kate's score. The strength test was worse. Kate could lift about her own body weight over her head. The Kryn could lift 4 times that amount. A thick-bodied alien from a heavy gravity world lifted 6 times what Kate managed. Speed tests, endurance tests, vision tests. Every single measurement put the humans at the bottom. By the end of the day, Kate felt exhausted and discouraged. Velthos displayed the results on a large screen. The 3 humans in the squad ranked last, second to last, and third to last. The instructor's compound eyes focused on them. Humans show expected limitations, Velthos announced. Slow reflexes, weak strength, poor sensory capacity. You will need to work very hard to reach minimum standards. We're not that slow, Kate said before she could stop herself. Velthos's head tilted. You dispute test results? I'm saying the tests don't show everything, Kate replied. She felt Ben's warning look but continued anyway. These measure baseline performance. What about performance under pressure? What about adaptability? Tests are standardized across all coalition species, Velthos said. They measure what matters in combat. If you dispute this, you dispute thousands of years of military science. Kate wanted to argue more but forced herself to be quiet. She could feel the alien recruits looking at her with something like pity, or maybe it was contempt. That night, the human recruits gathered in Ben's room. All 12 of them squeezed into the small space. This is bad, said one of the pilots, a man named Luke Harper. We're ranked at the bottom of every category. Maybe we shouldn't be here, another recruit said quietly. Her name was Grace Wells, a tactical specialist. Maybe Earth wasn't ready for this. No, Kate said firmly. We belong here as much as anyone else. Based on what? Luke asked. Every test says we're the weakest species here. Based on the fact that we got here, Kate replied. Earth went from barely having satellites to joining the Galactic Coalition in 2 generations. We built faster-than-light drives from scratch after seeing alien technology once. We adapted. That counts for something. Try telling that to Commander Thexelar, Amy said bitterly. Did you see how he looked at us? Like we're pets that learned to walk upright, Ben stood up. Kate's right. We can't give up after one day. So we're slower and weaker by their standards, fine. We figure out what our advantages are and use those. Well, what advantages? Grace asked. I don't know yet, Ben admitted. But there has to be something. Earth didn't survive this long by being stupid. Over the next 2 weeks, the training intensified. Every morning started at dawn with physical conditioning. Kate ran laps around the track while alien recruits flew or leaped past her with ease. She lifted weights that barely challenged creatures half her size. She practiced hand-to-hand combat and lost to everyone she faced. The classroom sessions were better. Kate excelled at tactical planning and strategic thinking. She noticed patterns in the alien combat doctrines that they seemed blind to. All of their strategies relied on calculated risk assessment and predetermined responses. If situation A happened, execute response B. If threat level reached X, fall back to position Y. It was logical. It was efficient, but it was also predictable. Kate started keeping notes. She watched how the Kryn warriors fought, how they moved, how they thought. They were strong and fast, but they followed patterns. They had rules of engagement drilled into them for generations, honor codes and combat traditions that dictated every action. She watched the Zanari pilots practice flight maneuvers. They were incredibly quick, with reflexes that put human pilots to shame. But they relied entirely on those reflexes. They didn't plan for system failures or unexpected obstacles. Why would they? Their reflexes would save them before anything went wrong. Every species had advantages. Every species also had blind spots. One afternoon, Kate's squad ran a combat simulation. They had to secure a building held by enemy forces. Velthos assigned Kate to the rear support position, far from the actual fighting. It was clear the instructor didn't trust her in combat. The simulation began. The alien recruits advanced in perfect formation, following standard coalition assault doctrine. Kate watched from her position and saw the problem immediately. The enemy AI had placed mines in the exact positions the doctrine predicted. The alien squad leader was leading them straight into a trap. Stop! Kate shouted over the communication channel. There are mines in the entry corridor. How? Week 3 at the academy brought new challenges. Kate woke each morning with sore muscles and bruises from the previous day's training. The physical conditioning was brutal, designed for species with naturally stronger bodies. But she refused to quit. Every morning she dragged herself to the track. Every afternoon she lifted weights until her arms shook. Every evening she studied tactical manuals until her eyes burned. The other human recruits struggled too. Luke Harper failed 3 combat simulations in a row and received a formal warning. Grace Wells scored so poorly on a reflexes test that her instructor suggested she transfer to a non-combat role. Amy Zhang was doing better in communications training, but even she faced constant doubt from alien instructors who questioned her decisions. Ben was the only one who seemed to keep his spirits up. He made friends with some of the alien recruits, learning their languages and customs. Kate admired his ability to stay positive, but she couldn't match it. Every day felt like a fight, just to prove she deserved to be there. The worst part was Commander Thexelar. The massive Kryn warrior taught advanced combat classes, and he seemed to take special pleasure in demonstrating human weakness. During hand-to-hand training, he always chose human recruits as examples of what not to do. He made them spar against much stronger opponents and then criticized their inevitable defeats. "Morrison," Thexelar called one morning. "Come forward." Kate's heart sank. She stepped onto the training mat in front of the entire class. Thexelar towered over her, his yellow eyes cold and evaluating. "Demonstrate the defensive stance you learned yesterday," the commander ordered. Kate took the position, feet apart, knees bent, arms ready. She knew it was correct. She had practiced for hours. Thexelar walked around her slowly. "Class, observe the human attempt at proper form. Note the weak leg position, the insufficient center of gravity, the arms that lack the strength to truly block a serious attack." He stopped in front of Kate. "This species evolved on a soft world. They never learned to truly fight. Their bodies are not built for combat." Kate kept her face neutral, but rage burned in her chest. Earth wasn't a soft world. Humans had clawed their way to the top of their food chain against creatures with claws and fangs and venom. They had survived ice ages and diseases and disasters. They weren't weak. "Commander," Kate said carefully, "Earth has predators too. Humans learn to fight." "Against animals," Thexelar said dismissively. "Not against intelligent opponents with advanced combat training." He gestured to a Kryn recruit. "Zarketh, show Morrison the difference between human and Kryn defensive capability." The Kryn recruit stepped forward. In one smooth motion, Zarketh executed a defensive move that flowed into a counterattack. The movement was perfect. Textbook coalition combat form. "You see?" Thexelar said. "Precision, power, control. These are the marks of a warrior species." Kate bit back a dozen angry responses. She returned to her place in line, feeling the stares of alien recruits on her back. She heard someone whisper something in a language she didn't understand. Other aliens made clicking sounds that might have been laughter. After class, Ben found her in the armory, hitting a practice dummy with more force than necessary. "Don't let him get to you," Ben said. "Easy for you to say," Kate snapped. "He doesn't single you out every day." "He singles out all of us," Ben replied. "You just react more, so he focuses on you." Kate hit the dummy again. "We're better than this, Ben. I know we are. But how do we prove it when every test is designed for their strengths?" Ben sat on a bench and watched her practice. "I've been thinking about that. All the tests measure what they value. Speed, strength, reaction time. But what about the things they don't test?" "Like what?" "Creativity, adaptability, stubbornness." Ben smiled slightly. "The ability to take a beating and keep going." Kate stopped hitting the dummy. "They do test endurance." "Not the same thing," Ben said. "They test how long you can run or how much weight you can lift. But what about mental endurance? Emotional resilience? The ability to function when everything's gone wrong and you're scared and hurt but you keep fighting anyway." Kate thought about that. Ben might be onto something. The alien species had all evolved on worlds that were already conquered, already settled. Most of them joined the coalition thousands of years ago. They had advanced technology and powerful militaries. They probably hadn't faced real desperation in generations. But humans? Humans remembered. They remembered when every day was a fight to survive, when winter meant starvation and injury meant death. That memory was buried deep in their genes, waiting. We need to show them that, Kate said slowly. But how? I don't know yet, Ben admitted. But there's a big combat drill coming up in 2 weeks. Multi-species teams competing in live exercises. Maybe that's our chance. Kate nodded. But 2 weeks felt like a long time when every day brought new humiliation. The breaking point came during week 5. Kate's squad was running a hostage rescue simulation. The exercise was supposed to teach coordination between different species with different capabilities. Velthos had assigned roles based on each recruit's test scores. The strongest aliens got assault positions. The fastest got scout roles. Kate was assigned to carry medical supplies and stay at the rear. The simulation began. Kate followed her squad through the digital environment, watching them work. They moved efficiently, following the plan exactly as instructed. But Kate saw problems. The enemy AI was adapting faster than the squad expected. Their predetermined responses weren't working. Squad leader, the enemy knows our approach vector, Kate said over the comm. We should circle around and attack from. Maintain position, Morrison, Dexthor interrupted. Follow your assigned role. Kate watched in frustration as the squad walked into another trap. This time it was worse. The simulation hit them with a chemical attack. 3 squad members were marked as casualties. The mission timer was ticking down. We need to improvise, Kate said urgently. The plan isn't working. The plan is sound, Dexthor insisted. We simply need to execute it better. They tried again. The same approach, the same tactics. The enemy AI, having learned their pattern, defeated them even faster. Velthos ended the simulation early. The instructor's compound eyes seemed to glow with disappointment. Failure, Velthos announced. This squad shows poor adaptability. Dexthor, explain. The enemy AI was unusually sophisticated, the Kryn said. It predicted our standard responses. Morrison predicted it too, Velthos noted. She suggested alternate approaches. Why did you ignore her? Dexthor's scales rippled with emotion. Her suggestions violated standard tactical doctrine. They were based on guesswork, not proven strategy. Her guesses were correct, Velthos pointed out. Once, Dexthor said, success through random chance is not the same as disciplined execution of proper technique. Kate couldn't stay quiet anymore. It wasn't random chance. I was reading the enemy's pattern and adapting. That's what you're supposed to do in combat. You presume to lecture me on combat? Dexthor stepped toward her. He was nearly twice her size. Your species has been in space for barely 20 years. Mine has fought wars for 10,000. Do not speak to me about adaptation. Your species fought the same wars the same way for 10,000 years, Kate shot back. That's not adaptation, that's tradition. Dexthor's hand moved toward her, but Velthos buzzed loudly. Enough, the instructor said. Both of you report to Commander Thexelar's office. Now. Kate's stomach dropped. Being sent to the commander was never good. She and Dexthor walked in tense silence through the corridors. Other recruits saw them and whispered. Commander Thexelar's office was large and decorated with weapons from a dozen different worlds. The massive Kryn sat behind a desk that looked too small for him. He looked up as they entered. Instructor Velthos reports conflict in your squad, Thexelar said. His voice was quiet, which somehow made it more threatening. Explain. Dexthor spoke first. Giving his version of events, he made Kate sound insubordinate and reckless. When he finished, Thexelar's eyes turned to Kate. Your response, Morrison? Kate chose her words carefully. I suggested tactical adjustments based on real-time observation of enemy behavior. My suggestions were dismissed because they weren't in the standard doctrine. The mission failed as a result. You believe you know better than coalition military doctrine? Thexelar asked. I believe doctrine is a starting point, not a cage, Kate said. In combat, the enemy doesn't follow our playbook. We need to think and adapt. Thexler stood. He walked around the desk and loomed over Kate. Humans always think they are clever. You see patterns others miss. You make connections others don't see. But do you know what I see when I look at you? Kate stayed silent. I see weakness pretending to be wisdom, Thexler continued. I see a species that cannot compete physically, so they try to compete mentally. They question everything because they lack the strength to simply execute orders. They think adaptation means they can ignore proven methods. He leaned down until his face was level with Kate's. Discipline and strength built the coalition, Morrison. Not clever tricks from clever humans. Permission to speak freely, sir, Kate said. Thexler straightened. Granted. Discipline and strength built your species' military tradition, Kate said. But it was adaptation and cleverness that put humans at the top of Earth's food chain. We didn't. The day of the combat drill arrived with cold morning light filtering through the station's observation ports. Kate stood in the preparation room with the other human recruits, checking her equipment one last time. The protective gear felt light, designed to register impacts without causing real injury. But she knew that didn't mean the fights would be gentle. Remember the plan, Ben said quietly. The 12 humans stood in a circle away from the alien recruits. Stay mobile. Use their size against them. Don't try to match their strength. And if nothing works? Luke asked nervously. Then we take the hits and keep standing, Kate said. That's what humans do. The recruits filed into the main combat facility. It was enormous, with multiple training rings set up across the floor. Hundreds of recruits and instructors filled the viewing stands. Kate saw Commander Thexler standing at the center, his yellow eyes scanning the crowd. He wore his ceremonial mask today, an ornate piece made of dark metal with gold markings that showed his rank. The drill had several phases. First came team combat exercises where squads worked together to complete objectives. The humans performed adequately, using the tactics they had practiced. They weren't the best, but they weren't the worst either. Kate saw some instructors taking notes which might have been good or bad. Then came the individual combat assessments. This was what everyone had been waiting for. Recruits from different species would face each other in hand-to-hand matches. The rules were simple. Disable your opponent or force them to submit. No weapons, no killing techniques, but full contact was allowed. Kate watched the first few matches. A Zanari fought a Kryn and lost despite superior speed. A thick-bodied alien from a heavy gravity world overpowered everyone it faced. When the first human recruit stepped into the ring, a hush fell over the crowd. It was Luke Harper. His opponent was a Kryn warrior named Telvas. The match lasted maybe 20 seconds. Telvas moved with practiced efficiency, using strength and reach to keep Luke off balance. Luke tried the tactics they had practiced, but in real combat against a superior opponent, theory and practice were very different things. Telvas swept Luke's legs and pinned him. The match was over. 3 more humans fought. 3 more losses. None of them lasted more than 30 seconds. Kate felt her determination hardening into something cold and sharp. When her name was called, she walked to the combat ring with her head high. Her opponent was Zarketh, the same Kryn who had demonstrated proper technique in Thexler's class. Begin, the referee announced. Zarketh came at her with textbook coalition combat form. Fast, powerful, controlled. Kate didn't try to block or match his strength. Instead, she moved. She slipped to the side, letting his momentum carry him past her. She targeted his knee with a quick kick, not hard enough to injure but enough to unbalance him. Zarketh recovered quickly, but Kate saw surprise in his eyes. He had expected her to fight like the other humans, trying to block and wrestle. Instead, she was forcing him to chase her, wearing him down, looking for openings. She lasted 45 seconds before Zarketh adapted and caught her in a hold she couldn't escape. But it was longer than any other human had lasted. As she stood and bowed to her opponent, she heard murmuring in the crowd. She had lost, but she had made the Kryn warrior work for it. Commander Thexler's voice cut through the noise. Adequate performance, Morrison. For a human. He paused, and Kate saw something in his eyes that might have been grudging respect, or maybe just interest in how long she could keep fighting before she broke. However, you utilized improper technique. You evaded instead of engaging. Combat is not about running away. Kate felt the anger spike again. She had done well, by human standards at least. And still, it wasn't good enough. Permission to speak, sir, she said. Denied, Thexlar replied. Return to the waiting area. Kate walked back to join the other humans. Ben squeezed her shoulder. That was good, he whispered, but Kate didn't feel good. She felt tired of being judged by standards designed for other species, tired of being told her methods were wrong when they worked. Tired of Thexlar's contempt, the matches continued. More humans fought. More humans lost. But some of them lasted longer now, using the tactics Kate had demonstrated. The alien recruits were having to work harder for their victories. Finally, all the scheduled matches were complete. The instructors huddled together, reviewing scores and performance data. Kate thought the drill was over. Then Commander Thexlar stepped into the center ring. One more exhibition match, he announced. His voice carried across the entire facility. I will demonstrate proper combat technique against improper methods. Morrison, come forward. Kate's blood went cold. This wasn't a scheduled match. Thexlar was calling her out personally. She looked at the other instructors, hoping someone would object. But they all stood silent. Either they agreed with this or they were too intimidated by Thexlar to speak up. Ben grabbed her arm. You don't have to do this. Yes, I do, Kate said quietly. If I refuse, he'll say humans are cowards. She walked to the ring. Thexlar stood at the center, massive and powerful in his ceremonial armor and mask. He looked like a warrior from an ancient myth, something that should only exist in legends. This will be instructive for all recruits, Thexlar said to the crowd. You will see the difference between proper military discipline and human improvisation. Kate took her stance. Every eye in the facility was on her. She knew she was going to lose. Thexlar was a trained warrior with decades of experience. He was bigger, stronger, and faster. This was just going to be a show of human weakness for the entertainment of the academy. Begin, the referee said. Thexlar moved. Kate tried to evade like she had with Zarketh, but the commander was faster and more experienced. He anticipated her movement and cut off her escape. His hand caught her shoulder and spun her around. She tried to counter, but it was like fighting a wall. He caught her arm and twisted her into a submission hold. Kate struggled, but it was useless. He was too strong. Submit, Thexlar ordered. No, Kate gasped. He increased the pressure. Pain shot through her shoulder. Submit, Morrison. Accept defeat with dignity. Kate's vision blurred with pain, but she wouldn't say the words. She had lasted longer than anyone expected. She had shown humans could fight. Submitting now would undo all of that. Thexlar released her suddenly and stepped back. Kate stumbled but stayed on her feet. The crowd murmured. What was happening? You cannot win, Thexlar said loudly, speaking to the audience as much as to Kate. Yet you refuse to submit. This is human stubbornness, not courage. A true warrior knows when to accept defeat. Kate's shoulder throbbed. She knew he was right about the match. She couldn't beat him. But something in his voice, the casual contempt, the certainty that humans were lesser, pushed her past reason. Maybe humans define courage differently than Kryn do, she said. The crowd went completely silent. Thexlar turned slowly to face her. Explain yourself. You say we should submit when we know we can't win, Kate said. Her voice was steady despite the pain. But humans survived on Earth because we didn't submit. When we faced predators bigger and stronger than us, we didn't give up. When winter came and food ran out, we didn't lie down and die. We adapted. We persevered. We survived. This is a training exercise, not survival, Thexlar said coldly, and you are not on Earth anymore. You are in a military academy that has trained warriors for 5,000 years. Your human philosophies are irrelevant here. Are they? Kate knew she should stop talking, but the words kept coming. Because from what I've seen, coalition military doctrine hasn't changed much in those 5,000 years. You've been fighting the same way against the same enemies using the same tactics. What happens when you face something new? Something that doesn't follow your 5,000-year-old rules? Thexlar's scales rippled. Kate realized too late that she had crossed a line. In Kryn culture, public challenge was a grave insult, and she had just questioned his military tradition in front of hundreds of witnesses. You dare, Thexlar said very quietly, to insult the Kryn warrior code? To suggest that your barely spacefaring species knows better than cultures that ruled the stars when your ancestors were living in caves? I'm saying different doesn't mean wrong, Kate replied, but her voice wavered now. She saw the anger in Thexlar's eyes. You are saying we are inferior, Thexlar growled. You are saying human methods are superior. That we are outdated, obsolete. That you, a recruit who has failed almost every physical test, know better than I do. That's not what I— Silence, Thexlar roared. The entire facility seemed to shake. You will show respect for your superiors. You will acknowledge the authority of this academy. You will submit. I won't, Kate said. The words came out before she could stop them. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Thexlar moved. It wasn't a training technique. It wasn't a proper military strike. It was pure rage, a backhand blow aimed at her face to punish her insolence. Kate saw it coming. Time seemed to slow down. She saw Thexlar's massive hand swinging toward her. She saw the anger twisting his features behind the ceremonial mask. She saw her own reflection in the polished surface of that mask, and then something in her brain simply took over. She didn't think, didn't plan, didn't calculate. Her hand moved on pure instinct, faster than conscious thought. Her fingers They took Kate to the medical bay immediately. A doctor from the Luminari species, tall and glowing with soft blue light, examined her shoulder and lip. The injuries were minor, a bruised shoulder, a small cut on her lip. The doctor worked in silence, occasionally glancing at Kate with its large, curious eyes. You are very lucky, the doctor finally said. Its voice was musical, like wind chimes. Commander Thexlar's strike could have broken your jaw, but it seems he stopped himself at the last moment. Kate touched her lip gently. He didn't stop himself. I stopped him. The doctor paused. The footage is being analyzed. Many beings are very confused about what they saw. So am I, Kate admitted. 2 security officers escorted her from the medical bay to a small room with plain walls and a single table. They told her to wait. She sat there for what felt like hours, replaying the moment in her mind. The strike coming toward her, her hand moving, the mask breaking. She couldn't explain it. She barely remembered deciding to move. The door finally opened. Ben walked in, followed by Amy and 3 other human recruits. They all looked worried. Are you okay? Ben asked immediately. I'm fine, Kate said, but I think I'm in serious trouble. The whole academy is talking about it, Amy said. Nobody can figure out how you moved that fast. They've been running the footage over and over. What does it show? Exactly what happened, Ben said. Thexlar threw a strike. You caught his mask and broke it. The whole thing took less than a second. He sat down across from her. Kate, do you realize what this means? You reacted faster than a Kryn warrior. That should be impossible. I didn't think, Kate explained. I just moved. It was pure instinct. Before they could discuss it further, the door opened again. A senior officer entered, a human in a coalition uniform. Kate recognized him from the academy orientation. This was Admiral Marcus Webb, the human liaison to the Galactic Defense Academy. Everyone out except Morrison, Webb said quietly. The other humans left reluctantly. Webb sat down and studied Kate with sharp eyes. He was older, probably in his 50s, with gray hair and the weathered look of someone who had spent time in real combat. You've created quite a situation, Webb said. I didn't mean to, sir. I know. I've reviewed the footage. It was clearly self-defense. Webb leaned back. But that's not what has everyone concerned. Commander Thexlar is filing a formal report questioning how a human recruit could possibly react faster than a Kryn warrior with decades of training. He's suggesting either your biological data was falsified or you've been enhanced with illegal technology. Kate felt cold. Neither of those things is true, sir. I know that too, Webb said. But we need to prove it. You're going to undergo a full physical evaluation. Every test, every scan, everything they can think of. They need to understand what happened. What if they don't believe the results? Then Earth's reputation in the coalition takes a serious hit, Webb said bluntly. There are already species that want humans removed from the academy. They'll use this as evidence that we can't be trusted. He stood, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're about to learn something very interesting about human biology. Over the next 3 days, Kate underwent more medical tests than she thought possible. They scanned her brain, measured her reflexes, tested her blood, analyzed her DNA. Doctors from a dozen different species examined her, all trying to understand what made her different. She wasn't the only one being tested. Admiral Webb had ordered all the human recruits to undergo the same evaluations. If Kate's reaction speed was unusual, they needed to know if other humans shared the same capability. On the fourth day, Kate was summoned to a conference room in the Academy's administration section. Admiral Webb was there, along with Commander Thexlar, Instructor Velthos, and several senior officers from different species. At the head of the table sat Chief Instructor Vorin, a luminary who oversaw all Academy operations. "Please sit, Recruit Morrison," Vorin said. The luminary's voice was calm and gentle. "We have completed our analysis of the incident. We wish to share our findings," Kate sat. Her heart pounded. Thexlar wouldn't look at her. He stared at the table, his jaw tight. Without his ceremonial mask, he looked strangely vulnerable. Vorin touched a control and a holographic display appeared above the table. It showed Kate and Thexlar in the combat ring, the moment frozen just before the strike. "Let us review what occurred," Vorin said. Commander Thexlar initiated a strike. Not a training technique, but a disciplinary action. This was inappropriate, and the commander has acknowledged this error. Vorin paused. However, what happened next is far more interesting. The hologram played forward in slow motion. Kate saw Thexlar's hand moving toward her face. Then her own hand moved, impossibly fast, catching the edge of the mask. Frame-by-frame analysis shows that from the moment Commander Thexlar began his strike to the moment you caught his mask, exactly 0.08 seconds elapsed, Vorin said. This is significantly faster than your previous test scores suggested possible. "I don't understand it either," Kate said. "We believe we do," Vorin replied. "The hologram changed to show biological data. When we tested you and the other human recruits previously, we measured your baseline performance, resting state reflexes and reactions, but we failed to account for a crucial factor." The luminary's eyes seemed to glow brighter. "Humans possess what your medical science calls an adrenal response. When threatened, your bodies release chemicals that dramatically enhance performance." Admiral Webb spoke up. "We tried to explain this during the initial evaluations, but the testing protocols didn't account for it." "Indeed," Vorin agreed. "Most coalition species have similar stress responses, but they are far less pronounced. A Kryn under stress might improve performance by 10 to 15%. Humans, we have discovered, can double or even triple certain capabilities when threatened." Thexlar finally spoke, his voice rough. "Are you saying Morrison was not actually faster than me? That her body simply reacted to threat?" "We are saying both things are true," Vorin said. "Under normal conditions, you are faster. But under threat, human physiology changes in ways that other species do not. Heart rate increases dramatically, blood pressure spikes, oxygen flow to muscles increases, and most significantly, time perception alters." Vorin displayed brain scans. In high-stress situations, the human brain processes information faster. What feels like several seconds to them is actually happening in fractions of a second. Kate tried to process this. "So I really did move that fast?" "You did," Vorin confirmed. "And this is not unique to you. We tested all 12 human recruits under simulated threat conditions. All of them showed similar performance enhancement, though to varying degrees." One of the alien officers, a Zanari, clicked its mandibles. "This is concerning. If humans can enhance performance this dramatically, our baseline testing is meaningless. How do we evaluate their true capabilities?" "That is precisely the question," Vorin said. "We have been training humans as if they were a slow, weak species. But that is only true in safe, controlled conditions. In actual combat, when threatened, they become something quite different." Thexlar's hands clenched on the table. "Then the tests are flawed. We have been underestimating them." "Not just underestimating," Admiral Webb said. There was an edge to his voice now. "You've been judging humans by standards designed for species that evolved on safer worlds. Earth is classified as a Class 7 death world in coalition databases. The humans who survived there developed extreme stress responses because they needed them to stay alive." The room was quiet for a moment. Kate saw several alien officers exchanging looks. She realized they were reassessing everything they thought they knew about humans. "This raises serious questions about our training protocols," Vorin said. "If human performance varies so dramatically between baseline and combat conditions, we must adjust how we evaluate and train them. It also raises questions about what other human capabilities we have not properly assessed," another officer added. Thexlar stood abruptly. "May I speak with Morrison privately?" Vorin considered this. "Very well. But remain in this room. We will continue our discussion in the adjacent conference area." The officers filed out. leaving Kate alone with Thexelar. The Kryn warrior stood by the window looking out at the stars. Without his mask, Kate could see the tension in his shoulders. "I struck you in anger," Thexelar said finally. "This was dishonorable. I allowed my pride to override my discipline." "You stopped yourself," Kate said. "The doctor said your strike could have broken my jaw, but you pulled back at the last moment." "I tried," Thexelar said. "But you moved so fast. I felt your hand on my mask before I even realized you had moved. In that moment, I understood that you could have struck my throat, my eyes, any vulnerable point. But you only grabbed my mask." He turned to face her. "Why?" Kate thought about it. "I wasn't trying to hurt you. I was just trying to stop you." "A warrior should always exploit an opening," Thexelar said. "You had the advantage, however briefly. You could have struck me down. That would have been justified in defense." "I'm not a warrior," Kate replied. "Not like you. I'm just a human trying to prove we belong here." Thexelar studied her. "I have trained warriors for 30 years. I have seen recruits from 40 species. I thought I understood what makes a goo." 6 months passed like a storm that slowly calmed into clear weather. The academy changed, and so did Kate. The new training protocols made a huge difference. Human recruits now went through 2 types of assessment. The first measured their baseline abilities, which were still lower than most alien species. But the second tested them under combat stress conditions with simulated threats and time pressure. Those scores told a very different story. Luke Harper, who had been close to washing out, discovered he had exceptional threat response. Under pressure, his decision-making became sharp and fast. He was reassigned to tactical operations, where his ability to think clearly during chaos made him valuable. Grace Wells found that her inadequate reflexes were actually fine when she was reacting to real danger rather than random light tests. She returned to tactical training and excelled at close-quarters combat scenarios. All 12 human recruits moved up in their class rankings. Not to the top, but to solid middle positions. More importantly, they earned respect from alien instructors who now understood what they were seeing. Commander Thexelar kept his word. He began training Kate personally twice a week. The sessions were brutal. The Kryn warrior pushed her harder than anyone else, but he also taught her techniques that actually worked for human physiology. He stopped trying to make her fight like a Kryn and instead helped her develop a style that used her unique advantages. "Your species relies on adaptability," Thexelar explained during one session. They were in a private training room working on close combat techniques. "You cannot match Kryn strength, but you can move in ways we cannot. You can change tactics mid-fight. Use this." Kate tried the combination he showed her. It felt wrong, nothing like proper coalition doctrine. But it worked. She managed to slip past Thexelar's guard and touch his chest, marking a hit. "Good," Thexelar said. He almost smiled. "You are learning to fight like a human, not like a poor copy of a Kryn. Is that a compliment?" Kate asked, breathing hard. "It is an observation," Thexelar replied. "But yes, also a compliment. You have improved significantly." Word of the changes at the academy spread through the coalition. Other humans serving in coalition forces heard about it. They began asking questions about their own training and assessment. Within 3 months, the coalition military headquarters ordered a full review of how human personnel were being utilized. Admiral Webb visited the academy to check on progress. He found Kate in the library studying Kryn military history. "Planning to become an expert on our scaly friends?" Webb asked, sitting down. "Trying to understand them better," Kate said. "Thexelar says I fight too much on instinct. I need to learn when to use discipline and when to trust my gut." Webb nodded. "That's wisdom most soldiers don't learn until after they've made serious mistakes." He paused. "I have news. The Coalition is assigning a mixed species unit to patrol the frontier sectors. They want humans as part of the team. They specifically requested Academy graduates." Kate looked up sharply. "Real assignment? Not just more training?" "Real assignment. Combat potential is high in that sector. Pirates, smugglers, occasional skirmishes with unaligned systems." Webb smiled slightly. "They want humans because they've realized that unpredictable threats need unpredictable responses. Human stress adaptation makes you good at handling chaos. When do we deploy?" 6 months. "After graduation," Webb stood, "you'll lead a squad. Mixed species, including Kryn warriors. Thexelar recommended you personally." Kate felt her heart race. A real command. A real chance to prove that humans could not only survive in the coalition military, but thrive in it. The remaining months of training focused on teamwork and mixed species coordination. Kate's squad for the final exercises included Ben, Amy, 2 Kryn warriors named Dexthor and Korval, a Zanari scout called Vix, and 3 others from different species. At first, the aliens were skeptical about human leadership, but Kate had learned how to earn respect. She didn't try to outperform them physically. She played to her strengths, reading situations quickly, adapting plans on the fly, and understanding how to use each team member's unique capabilities. Dexthor was strong and disciplined. Vix was incredibly fast. Ben was a natural pilot. Amy could maintain communication across multiple channels while tracking battlefield data. Kate learned to put all these pieces together. Their first major exercise was a rescue operation simulation. A diplomatic team was trapped in a hostile zone. The squad had to extract them while dealing with enemy forces and environmental hazards. Kate briefed her team before they started. Standard coalition doctrine says we go in strong, secure the perimeter, and extract. But that's what the enemy AI expects. So we're going to split into 3 groups. Vix, you scout ahead and feed us real-time data. Dexthor and Korval, you make noise on the east side. Make them think that's our main assault. Ben, Amy, and I will use that distraction to slip in from the west. This violates standard extraction protocol, Dexthor said, but his tone was curious, not dismissive. I know, Kate said, but standard protocol is predictable. We need to be unpredictable. The exercise began. Kate's plan worked perfectly. While the enemy AI focused on the Kryn warriors' assault, Kate's smaller team infiltrated the target building. They secured the diplomats and were halfway to the extraction point before the AI realized what happened. But then things went wrong. The enemy AI adapted faster than expected and cut off their escape route. Explosions rocked the street. Simulated enemy fire came from multiple directions. The mission timer showed they had 2 minutes before enemy reinforcements arrived. Kate felt her heart start to pound. The familiar sensation of time slowing down kicked in. She saw everything with crystal clarity. Enemy positions. Cover points. The weakness in their formation. Ben, can you hit that building support beam? She asked, pointing. Maybe, but why would I? Just trust me. Korval. When that building collapses, you lead the diplomats through the dust cloud. Vix, you run interference on our left flank. Everyone else covering fire on my mark. She counted down from 3. Everything happened at once. Ben's shot took out the support beam. The building's facade collapsed, creating a massive dust cloud that blocked enemy line of sight. Korval charged through with the diplomats. Vix's speed let her take out 3 enemy positions before they could react. Kate's team provided covering fire from behind a vehicle. They made it to the extraction point with 15 seconds to spare. When the simulation ended, the entire squad was breathing hard. Dexthor looked at Kate with something like wonder. How did you see that opportunity? He asked. I don't know, Kate admitted. It just became clear when things got dangerous. Stress response, Amy said, checking her data. Kate's heart rate spiked to 180. She was in full combat mode. Instructor Voren appeared at the end of the exercise. The luminary's glow pulsed with what Kate had learned meant approval. Excellent performance, Voren said. Morrison, you demonstrated precisely what we hope to develop in mixed species teams. You utilized each member's strengths while adapting to unexpected complications. The luminary paused. You have come far since your first day at this academy. Kate thought back to that first day standing in the assembly hall while Commander Thexlar told her she was weak. It felt like a lifetime ago. Graduation came on a clear day with 3 moons visible through the observation windows. Kate stood with her class, wearing the formal uniform of a Coalition Defense Forces officer. Her rank insignia showed she was a squad leader. Her specialty badge marked her as qualified in tactical operations and mixed species coordination. Admiral Webb presented the certificates personally. When he reached Kate, he shook her hand. Earth is proud of you, he said quietly. All of you. Kate looked at the other human graduates. All 12 had made it through. Luke, Grace, Amy, Ben, all of them standing tall in their uniforms. They had proven something important, not just for themselves, but for everyone back home. Commander Thexlar approached after the ceremony. He wore a new ceremonial mask, simpler than the old one but still marking his rank. He carried a small case, Morrison, he said formally. A moment, Kate stepped aside with him. Texlar opened the case. Inside were the pieces of his broken mask, carefully preserved and mounted. "This is for you," Texlar said. "In Kryn culture, a broken mask represents a lesson learned at great cost. I want you to keep this as a reminder, not of the moment I failed, but of the moment we both learned something important." Kate took the case carefully. "Thank you, Commander." "What did you learn?" "That strength without understanding is weakness," Texlar said. "That every species has value. That a good warrior never stops learning." He met her eyes. "You taught me this. I hope I taught you something as well." "You did," Kate said. "You taught me that respect has to be earned on both sides, and that the hardest person to prove yourself to is sometimes the one who becomes your best teacher." Texlar nodded slowly. Then he did something Kate never expected. He bowed, a full formal Kryn bow of respect between equals. "Lead your squad well, Lieutenant Morrison," he said. 2 weeks later, Kate's squad deployed to the frontier sectors. Their ship was small but fast, designed for rapid response. The crew was mixed species, with humans serving in several key positions. Kate was the tactical officer, reporting to a luminary captain named Soral, their